Good afternoon, everybody. Major changes for my YouTube channel. It will still be called Escape to Entertainment, but I am keeping it primarily on films from now on. I've decided what I'm going to do with this is just basically like be talking about films, because going through a lot of likes and everything in my videos, it does seem that people are focused more on just films. So that is the way forward. I will be doing films I've seen recently in terms of new releases, and every now and then I will throw in a retro thing, and that's exactly what I'm going to do today. So today I'm going to be talking about the Lord of the Rings trilogy and the Hobbit trilogy. So my plan is to anybody who hasn't seen the Hobbit trilogy, who has seen like the Lord of the Rings trilogy, it's going to be a education, and of course everyone who wants to join in what they have seen and have not seen. So a lot of people I've spoken to and known, they say they've stayed away from the Hobbit trilogy because they think, in hindsight, it doesn't compare to the Lord of the Rings trilogy, or it doesn't measure up. Now, I'll be honest, compared to the Lord of the Rings trilogy, you're absolutely right. However, singly, on its own as a trilogy, I think it's magnificent. And, if there's everything you've loved about Lord of the Rings, I know it might slightly contradict, but everything you love about Lord of the Rings, you will love about the Hobbit trilogy, because it binds a lot of things together. It's sort of a tribute, if you will, in terms of what's here, what's there, little subtle nods to stuff that will come further down the line, because it is a prequel. But what I will say about both trilogies is the cast. The cast is head to toe of brilliance. You see, what I think is quite good is that, with sort of like the trilogies going down the years, like The Godfather, Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, Back to the Future, they've all, like Harry Potter, James Bond, they've all had really accomplished casts, and that's exactly what we've got here, in both sets. And the Hobbit trilogy has thrown back a lot of the cast from the original Lord of the Rings, for Christopher Lee, Ian McKellen, Kate Blanchett, Hugo Weaving, Elijah Wood, Orlando Bloom, and of course it gives us a chance to introduce a lot of new characters and new of actors like Richard Armitage, James Nesbitt, Billy Connolly, throughout both trilogies, it's a who's who of the New Zealand and Australian celebrities, and it's actually quite amazing, looking back on how different some of these films could have been. So I don't know if it's common for knowledge that Sir Sean Connery was first approached to play the role of Gandalf many moons before he was given to Ian McKellen, and he turned it down because he simply didn't understand the story. So can you imagine Sean Connery shouting, "You shall not pass, dear darling." So it doesn't have the gravitas the Ian McKellen saying, "You shall not pass." It's sort of you got to sort of put in to a context. As much as I love Sean Connery, he's not a thespian. He's a brilliant actor, but he's not a thespian. So sort of Ian McKellen carries the role of Gandalf across all 6 films, so it works. Just like I think I can't remember who it was, but Viggo Mortensen wasn't the first choice for Aragorn, but now seeing it, you really can't see anyone else in the role other than Viggo Mortensen and them. Like, you know, some actors just own a role. So, like, you know, like for instance, like it works with James Bond because it's a variation. Like so many actors have played that. You know, when it comes like to Indiana Jones, only Harrison Ford can play him. Like when it comes to Rocky Balboa, like that's Sylvester Stallone's role, and so on. You know, like Ian McKellen is Gandalf. You know, like anyone else, it just wouldn't have worked. Just like Christopher Lee plays like Saruman, just brilliantly. You know, so any time in these films when you see Christopher Lee and Ian McKellen, sorry, both sirs, share like the screen, it's just, well, it's a work of art, isn't it? You know, my good friend Alan Griffin, he have said that these films, then they're not just films, they are works of art, and rightly so. You know, like the Lord of the Rings films are some of the most like beautifully depicted films from a visual sense that I've ever seen. So yeah, so sort of I love like the Lord of the Rings films. I will confess I've only seen each film twice now. The Battle of the Five Armies I've only seen once because I never saw it at the cinema. I recently watched it in this recap. So the first time I've seen these films in such a long time, you really do appreciate them, and they are just magnificent. You know, and Peter Jackson, special mention that must go to Peter Jackson. You know, like this was the film that catapulted him into the stratosphere, because sort of like prior to this, like he did do a lot of films, but sort of this was like his first like big budget Hollywood film, and you know, and he's gone on like, and made like some brilliant films since, you know, like The Lovely Bones, King Kong, I'm like to name a few, but Peter Jackson has, yeah, he made like this film just wow, and sort of and speaking of the cast, obviously like they're paid to do it, like, but we must sort of say, you know, the dedication for them to do this, to do all three films back to back over a 16-month period. 16-month period is huge. You know, most actors like will go and film a few scenes for said film over the space of, you know, like maybe like 2 or 3 months, or sort of like doing films like in between. But like to do a massive shoot for 3 films back to back for 16 months, that is dedication. Like that really is, like that's dedication, like to the craft, you know, like it really is. And even, you know, like the likes of like I say, Ian McKellen and Christopher Lee doing it all again, like the Hobbit trilogy, it's sort of thinking, wow, you know, that is amazing. So, you know, in conclusion, I say, if you haven't seen the Hobbit film, sorry, like the Hobbit trilogy, and you love Lord of the Rings, then I implore, go do it. Please, 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 go watch like the Hobbit trilogy. You know, like I say, compared to Lord of the Rings, it's not quite there. Like there was a lot of studio like involvement, like from New Line Cinema, like the Hobbit trilogy, which Peter Jackson like did not approve. However, that's why like he made like his own like extended versions. I haven't seen like the extended versions like Thrive, and like, I think that's going to be like the next thing to do. But yeah, the Hobbit trilogy and the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Sorry, the Lord of the Rings trilogy. I really do need to pronounce more because it's coming out as Lord of the Rings. The Lord of the Rings trilogy and the Hobbit trilogy, absolutely amazing films. Brilliant cast, superb visuals, soundtracks as well. You know, the Desolation of Smaug, the song I See Fire by Ed Sheeran. I found out recently, like that was originally recorded and planned for the Hunger Games film Catching Fire. So like there's a little tidbit there. That's another thing I'm going to like to throw in lots of these things, like lots of little love for trivia bits. I don't want like to bore people. You know, like that's what IMDb like is for. Like if you want like to scroll like through stuff, but just like to throw in like nice things like that, like is quite good and like make someone go, oh, I see. So like I say, with Sean Connery being like the original choice for Gandalf and one of the songs for another film, that's short trivia tidbits there. So yeah. So in conclusion, please go watch a lot of these films. So yeah, I'm gonna try and get these like review things in like maybe like once or twice a week. I'm not going like to bombard like everyone like with random things and that, but the purpose of these videos is to sort of, you know, like help people who haven't watched these films to sort of like, you know, give either a thumbs up or a thumbs down to these things. So there we go. So yep, please go watch The Hobbit. Please, like anyone wants like to like, share and subscribe, please do. And so yeah, if you're stuck for something to watch tonight, start with The Hobbit. There you go. So yeah, thank you very much for watching, and a very good afternoon to you all. Bye bye.